go. Unfreaking believable. Unbelievable. I gotta be honest with you, that game drove me nuts. I cannot believe the Buccaneers lost that game. Wow. I don't even know what to say. Tough one. Man, that was an absolute laser from Cooch, wasn't it?
What a crazy game. The Bulls are bowl-bound for the third season in a row. An incredible performance. And listen, we know the competition. They did what they had to do. No more silver linings. No more moral victories. It was put up or shut up time. And boy, did they rise to the occasion.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Recher podcast. Hope everybody is doing well. It's March 27, 2026. I got my earphones and a little bit of a, things as you get older. Like, you're like, I hope I never have to, untangle wires again. Yeah, that shit stays with you for the rest of your life. Nobody ever tells you that when you're a kid. Like, oh, untangling things, you'll stop doing that at a certain age. That never happens. That's what you're going to be doing forever. Bro, let me start off the show today like this. Do you see the hat I'm wearing? Does everybody see the hat I'm wearing? Unbelievable. This may be my favorite hat that I have. And you know me, I got a lot of stuff. I got a lot of hats. And shout out to my guy, Coach Linden, Pascal Hernando. Look how badass this hat was. And Ira Kaufman was wearing one the other day, but it wasn't nearly as nice as this one. And Coach, I got to tell you, I love you. Congratulations. You got one of the best programs around. But this is probably going to be the only day that I wear this hat. And the reason being is this is too damn nice. This is going up behind me. We're going to make a place for this because this needs to be featured every single day on the Recher podcast. Look at this thing. This thing is fire. And I don't like white hats. I'll tell you that right now. I am not a white hat guy. But and the thing is that Coach sent me this hat a couple of weeks ago, but when I was in North Carolina, that's when I got it. And then my phone broke. And then, of course, being at Lightning a couple of days this week, and I saw it, and then Coach texted me, and I'm like, don't worry, Coach, I got you. I'm going to open it today. Well, I lied, Coach. I didn't open it today because I wanted to see what it looked like. And I opened it before the show, and I'm like, this is so incredibly badass. I love this freaking hat. This is one of my favorite hats of all time. I'm not just saying that because you gave it to me, because I got some hats from other teams. I love my guys, TC, Jesuit, Steinbrenner, Freedom, everybody that has sent me hats. But this one right here, I love it. But like I said, this is probably going to be the only day that I ever wear it because this is going up back here. This is that nice. This is going to add to the ambiance and the je ne sais quoi of the Recher podcast. So shout out to Lynn and Coleman and Pascal Hernando. You guys are the best, man. Thank you so much. Continued success. I got a yellow shirt too. I'll be wearing that one. That's for sure. But man, this is freaking sweet, buddy. Sweet. This will be a home hat because I get scared when I wear white clothes, man. I'm that guy. White shirt, white shoes, white hat. It don't matter. I'm gonna get a lot of ketchup on it or something. I'm that dude. I'm just that's me. Make sure you guys follow me on all social media platforms at Recher, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. A big thank you to our partners at Honest Hammer Custom Builders, as well as Evra Health. And look at this. A Friday Super Chat Day starts with two of our best. David Terry, Liverpool fan extraordinaire, and the First Lady of the Recher podcast, Janet Best, the $10 and the $5 Super Chat. Thank you guys so much. That's the only way we're going to keep this train rolling is with the Super Chats and with our partners. So thank you very much. We're going to start setting up goals on Friday so everybody can chime in on a Friday with the Super Chats because, man, I can't tell you guys, every little bit helps. And I'm very, very appreciative of that. What do we have on the program today? Not necessarily the way we wanted to start the race season. I was watching the game at Benchmark International Arena yesterday and walking around telling everybody they're up 7-1. They're up 7-1. And they're like, are you watching the game still? And I was like, no, I got to go check. I got to go back to my seat. And I go back to my seat and they're losing 9-7. like, what the hell is going on here? No bueno. We'll talk about that here in a bit. Lightning blow an opportunity last night in regulation. We'll also discuss that. Lavonte David, is he really a Hall of Famer? We're seeing more and more people line up on both sides. A lot of people speaking in favor of Lavonte, and of course, the legend that he is here in the Tampa Bay area, but we'll discuss that. Also, another example of why it is so difficult to teach playing outfield in Major League Baseball. Evan Closky, our pal from Channel 10, he's going to join us at 1 o'clock today, and then we will end the show. I usually end it on a high note, something positive, but today I am not happy. I'm not happy. ESPN made a terrible decision getting rid of one of their MLB voices, and it frankly pissed me off. And I'm going to go hellfire and brimstone at about 1:30 today, shaking down the worldwide leader. Like, I don't know what y'all are thinking. I really don't. Hey, let's just have another show where people are just babbling and talking shit and saying the same thing over and over and over and over again and talking about things that aren't relevant. And then you have somebody that's educational, informative, fun, versatile. Yeah, let's get rid of him. What are y'all thinking? What are y'all thinking? And all these people that are just, it's so weird how people defend ESPN. Well, look at the ratings and look at the revenue and blah, 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 blah. It's like, bro, everybody puts that channel on because if anything happens, they want to know. And there's a ticker on the bottom. Don't tell me that any of that stuff is appointment listening or appointment viewing. You don't. So, wow, I woke up early to catch up First Take today. Oh, man, I couldn't wait to catch Get Up. Couldn't miss the beginning. Do you know anybody? Y'all are sports fans. Do you know anybody out there that does that? Come on, man. Let's be serious. Questions, comments, concerns, leave them there at the bottom of the screen. We got a lot of people not too thrilled with what's going on already with the Lightning and the Rays. DT, happy Friday. Bolts need to keep the foot on the gas. The East is grouped up tight. Any side could mean you're out. You're not wrong. Janet Best, Benny, thank you for the compliment on the hat. Shout out to, again, Pasco Hernando, my guy. Rolly, these Bolts, they should have won that game in regulation. What the hell? I just can't stand Montour. I saw it coming all game. He would ruin my night. You got that right, Bite. Look at the Giovenco's in the house. What's going on, guys? Appreciate you. Never had a chance. What is ESPN? I'm with you. CJ Hull, yeah, really can't be too upset with the Bolts last night. They had their chances, just kept getting blocked, and a broken stick in OT doomed them. Tuesday's game told me a lot more about this team. That's a good point. But we'll talk more about the Tampa Bay Lightning here momentarily. But I want to start discussing about what, watching that game yesterday, what it meant for the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, listen, I am not going to be one of those people that say, oh, man, the season's over, they're screwed. But you got to be very careful to set a precedent like that in game one. Because for all these years, people excuse the Tampa Bay Rays for not being able to spend money on going out and get a 30 home run, 100 RBI guy. Fine. What is your strength? What do you lean on? It's pitching and defense. And primarily, your bullpen. Because you have more guys. You play the matchup game. You're lefty-lefty, righty-righty matchups. Yeah, I understand that. But I just don't understand why nobody in this town brings up the obvious. Nobody wants to say the quiet part out loud when it comes to the Rays. Maybe it's because there's less people talking about the Rays because it's not the NFL, it's not football. Maybe it's because my guys over at WDAE are the flagship, so they don't want to talk about this. And I'll say this to them. I'm not talking shit. Like, that's just the way it is. I'd love to hear what they have to say about this. But for everybody that joins the show or everybody talks about the Rays, everybody keeps saying about how great the manager is and how great the pitching coach is and how great the general manager is. Yeah, I mean, they've had success. Don't get me wrong. But where have they been in the playoffs the last couple of years? Have you seen them? Because I haven't. We've played in as many playoff games for the Pendingos than the Tampa Bay Rays have. This is a what have you done for me lately life that we live in, and a what have you done for me lately sports world that we live in. And everybody always wants to tell me how great these guys are. But, I mean, with that being said, like, where's the proof these past couple of seasons? It's always an excuse. It's always something. There's always a caveat. Nobody wants to hear that. It's a results-oriented business. Do the job or they'll find somebody else to do it for you. You're telling me that this team had Taj Bradley and Shane Boz. And everybody kept telling me how great these guys are. And if they're going to do well, they're going to do well in Tampa Bay. And then you get rid of both of those guys last year and you replace them with Nick Martinez and Steven Matz. Come on, man. Like, what are we talking about? Like, why doesn't anybody bring this stuff up? We're just like robots sometimes in this city when it comes to sports. Well, we're gonna do what anybody else says we're gonna do, and we're just gonna follow blindly. Like, stop being a sheep. The Rays ain't gonna do jack diddly squat this year if their bullpen is gonna act like they did yesterday. And I know Ian Seymour had a rough outing, but listen, if this is what you pride yourself on, you got to have guys that are throwing gas, and you got to get guys that are getting people out. I don't have an issue with Drew Rasmussen coming out of the game. If people want to talk about pitch count, I think he could have went more, but that's not the point. You know this if you've been around baseball. If you have a guy that's thrown and he's kind of at that 65 to 75% of the way done, maybe even a little bit more, 80% of the way done, and you get into an inning where your offense just explodes and he's in the dugout for 20, 25, 30 minutes, the last thing you want to do is have a guy that has over 50 pitches already on that arm going out there cold, going out there to warm up again and to kind of reset everything. It's very difficult to do that. It's one thing if it's later on in the season. It's one thing if it's the playoffs, right? Because you know that you're closer to the end of the season than the beginning of the season. But you're going to see, and we've seen this in the past, guys get taken out with high pitch counts. Guys get taken out when they got no hitters. It's the first game of the season. You got to be smart. I think this would have been the right move in game 1, in game 10, in game 50, in game 100. So I'm not putting that on Kevin Cash. I'm certainly not putting that on Drew Rasmussen. I'm putting it on the team as a whole. Every year, this team gets the benefit of the doubt for certain areas. And I think they're losing that benefit of the doubt. We talk so much about these owners and looking at these problems that this team has when it comes to a stadium. Like, they need to analyze what this team is all about from the top down. Go look at the prospect list for the Tampa Bay Rays. Yeah, there's some names because, everybody's told you, but if those names don't turn into Junior Camaneros, what does it really matter? You need these guys to be difference makers. What are we doing? Are we just here to compete? Just to kind of, or to contend? Which way are we going? Is it good enough for the Rays to just kind of be waddling and wallowing in mediocrity? Everybody you talk to, they're like, I think they're an 80-win team. That's the worst. The worst. Give me a team that's going to draft in the top 3 or 5. Give me a team that's going to really struggle and then build your way back up. Or give me a team that's going to contend for a division and a World Series every year. It's like that old 8-8 Jeff Fisher philosophy in the National Football League. This ain't good, man. Gotta be better. Gotta be better. Not good enough. Victor, happy Friday, Jay. Ray's game was ugly with the bullpen. I know it's early, but do you feel with new owners it'll get better over the next couple of years? And thank you for the $5 super chat. I sure as hell hope so. The Rays don't just have off the field issues. They have on the field issues. They need to make sure that they're getting back to doing. This team showed yesterday that there are some hitters. They got some luck on their side, and which, listen, stuff like that's going to happen. Some swinging bunts that worked out in their favor. Junior Caminero is a guy that is going to have to take his walks this year. He's probably going to set the record for walks in a season for a Tampa Bay Rays hitter if he stays healthy. Because what every team is going to do when they're facing Tampa Bay this year is they're going to force every single other batter in that lineup to beat them. They're not going to let Junior Caminero be that guy. So that's why it's imperative for Jonathan Miranda to have a strong year. It's imperative for Cedric Mullins and Williamson and Carson Williams and all these guys to either get on base in front of Junior or protect him hitting behind him in the lineup. And I wonder if Kevin Cash is going to maybe change it around a little bit when it comes to where he hits Junior in the order. Do you hit him a little closer to the top to get him more at-bats? Because I think that might make sense. You see what the Yankees do a lot when they have Aaron Judge batting second. Do they do something similar with Junior Caminero because guys will pitch around him so much? You know Yandy Diaz where he's going to be. And you saw the lineup yesterday where Caminero batted fourth. And to Williamson's credit, he went 3 for 4 behind him. And then you take him out. Again, I think the Rays, sometimes you fall in love too much with the lefty-righty platoon. Like sometimes you just got to leave guys in there and let them do their thing. You know, Nick Fortes is 3 for 4. You pinch hit for him, right? Williamson 3 for 4. You pinch hit for him. Like it's strange sometimes with the Rays. They live and die by the platoon way too much. If a guy's rolling, leave him in there. You had like you pinch hit Chandler Simpson yesterday for Ryan Valee, lefty on lefty, right? Which goes against your philosophy of your platoon. And he comes in and gets a base hit. I wonder if we get to some point where Yandy bats leadoff and Junior Caminero bats second and Aranda bats third to be able to protect him. Because I don't know if there's a legit 5-hitter on this team that you're going to say, okay, I don't want to pitch to him. Aranda's probably your best option. So keep an eye on that. I don't know if many people are going to talk about that type of thing, but you're going to hear it right here on the Jay Recher podcast. Don't be surprised if at some point this season, Junior Caminero gets bumped up to the 2-hole and they put Aranda behind him. Because Aranda's got an easy swing. He's got easy pop. You saw it yesterday. Hell, you saw it last year when he made the All-Star team, but he's just got to stay healthy. Yandy, Junior, Jonathan Aranda, you know, that's kind of the lineup that I would look at kind of going forward. But that's offensively. Defensively and pitching, if that's where your strength is, it has to be something that you can rely on. Your hitting is going to come and go. It's a game of failure, and you're going to fail more hitting than pitching, right? You need to be able to rely on the guys that you're going to in the bullpen to get outs. So many issues the last couple of years. Mason Montgomery, that's the reason why you move on from a guy like Mason Montgomery, a guy that was throwing 99, 100 miles. Couldn't get anybody out. Couldn't throw strikes. If Kyle Snyder is the best pitching coach in the game, we have to see proof of that. Why is he the best pitching coach in the game? What has he proven the last 2 years? It's not personal. I like the guy. He's had success in the past. But the rent is due for some of these guys. Because the same old tried and true recipe, the ingredients aren't there. We used to laud this team for being able to have these reclamation projects and these guys out of the bullpen that, oh, we didn't see that guy coming. Where has that been the last couple of years? Nobody talks about it either. It's very strange. David Terry, I would have Simpson lead off, fastest guy in the MLB. To me, I would like that. He, to me, is more of a guy that's a 9-hitter. I would bat him 9th every time as a double leadoff. You have him batting 9th, Yandy 1st, and then Junior. That's another reason why I would do that. You bat him 9th. He gets on base. Yandy comes up, right? He's able to hit behind the runner. You got 1st and 3rd, and then here comes Junior Caminero. You walk him, Aranda with the bases loaded. Makes a lot of sense. The on-base percentage for a guy like Yandy Diaz is going to be higher than a guy like Chandler Simpson. Listen, Chandler Simpson is a guy that, let's not get it twisted, he's not the greatest hitter in the world, right? He's a slap hitter. He's not a power guy, right? He's going to try to put the ball on the ground and use his speed. He knows his strengths. But is he ever going to win a batting title? We don't know. I would say no. And we're going to talk a little bit more about Chandler Simpson a little bit later on. Because you remember last year we were talking about outfield play. And what did the Rays say? Chandler Simpson is going to go down, and we're going to teach him how to play where? Center field. And everybody bought into that shit. Who told you that that doesn't happen? Who told you that you don't learn how to play center field? It's funny how stuff like that happens. And then when he goes down and then he comes back and he plays left field, and then you start this season and you bring in Cedric Mullins and you don't have him play center field. How come nobody brings that up? The truth does not get addressed enough when it comes to the Rays on the field. Off the field, everybody has an opinion about the stadium and the ownership. And now that Stu's gone, what's everybody going to bitch and moan and complain about now? But you cannot teach somebody how to play center field. When you're that fast, like Chandler Simpson, everybody goes, oh, he's that fast. Should be able to play center field. So much more than that. So much more than that. Lightning blew a big opportunity last night. Before we get to the game, I want to get to something we talked about on the show yesterday, and that was Victor Hedman. And I posted the video yesterday. It's on all of my social media platforms at Recher about what Victor Hedman has been through the last year. And overwhelmingly positive when it comes to the support for Hetty. And a lot of you great people in Bolts Nation, you understood. Then you have some dipshits out there like, oh, well, he's just going through injury and he lost his dog. Am I being too insensitive? Yeah, you are. He's a human being, damn it. This is one of the mentally and physically strongest people that we know. If he is at the point in his career and in his life where this is what he has to do, there's obviously something wrong. And I don't look at that as a sign of weakness at all. And just talking about this last night, like, think about this. We didn't mention this on the show yesterday, but this was brought to my attention because I don't know if I knew this or not about the Victor Hedman situation. They were playing in Vancouver, and Victor Hedman left the game in the middle of the game. Not only did he leave the game, but Victor Hedman flew all the way back to Tampa. Did everybody know that? I might have missed that. I don't think I remember. I don't think I heard that. And if I missed it, like on the broadcast or something, like, you know me, I don't care if I miss something. It happens. You can't catch everything. But I don't know if I heard that before last night. But I was told that Victor Hedman not only left the game in Vancouver, but he flew home by himself to Tampa. Not on the team charter. He flew commercially back to Tampa Bay. What could possibly be going on with Victor Hedman that he wouldn't stay with his team? This is a guy that stayed on the bench for Sweden during the quarterfinals when they lost to Team USA. Something is up with Victor Hedman. We don't know what it is specifically. I've had so many people reach out in the last 24 hours asking me. We don't know for sure, but what we do know is that the dude's been through a lot. So at this time, instead of trying to be an investigative journalist, instead of trying to be speculatory, instead of just being a dick, have some grace. Have some grace when it comes to somebody going through something. You never know what people are going through. What we do know last night was that performance from the Tampa Bay Lightning was not good enough against the Seattle Kraken. And you're just looking at the lineups, like two totally different lineups last night between these two teams. That's a game that they need to win in regulation because with the tiebreakers coming up, you never know. You never know. You need to make sure that you win these games in regulation. And they didn't do that. And then they go to overtime, and then the stick breaks. And that's what happens in overtime. All it takes is one lucky bounce or one unfortunate stick break, and the puck's in the back of the net. And that's what you saw last night. You can't do that. This team has started out way too slow, and you can kind of give them some grace about Tuesday's game. against the Minnesota Wild, because after the long road trip and you're playing against one of the better teams in the game, like you kind of get that. Come back, you win the game, fine. But then against Seattle, it's like, come on, man. Sleeping in your own bed. You had off on Wednesday, no practice. You had an optional morning skate on Thursday. And then that's the performance that you give. Again, you love to see them come back, but it shouldn't take a fight. And I love the toughness of this team. I love that it doesn't matter. Like anybody's willing to throw down. You love that type of mindset. But I also think that there's something to be said about, like, why do you need that all the time? Like, you shouldn't need a fight to get you into the groove. You should just be, as soon as you step on the ice, you should be ready to go. And John Cooper's got to find it, and this team has to find it, because this is a huge homestand. Tomorrow, you take on the Ottawa Senators. It's going to be an early one, 1 o'clock tomorrow. 5 o'clock on Sunday, Steven Stamkos returns, Nashville Predators. But games 3 and 4 of a 7-game homestand after being on the road for so long. And you got a bunch of Eastern Conference opponents coming up, a bunch of playoff teams coming up. You got to find a way to start on time. And John Cooper, I asked him as much last night about the game. And I said, for a guy that in a team that is, or I said for a coach that's so even keel, and he cut me off. Let's see if we can play it for you. Let's hear from, I think that'll be fun. Not fun, but like, let's hear what John Cooper had to say after the game last night. Because I want to see what your guys' opinions are on his thoughts on that game, because I thought it was very interesting. Hold on one second. All right. Here's John Cooper in the post game. It's about 4 minutes, so we'll hear it together. Cameron. Share screen. All right. Here we go, guys. Coming up right now. You look. No, go ahead. You love the response, falling behind the last couple of nights, but what do you guys have?
Why are we falling behind? That's my problem. We're falling behind.
Right.
And so, hey, listen, like, stick taps, we came back. We hope good teams can come back. Nobody can close it out. And I don't think they look at these sheets all they want and say, oh my God, shot attempts and the whole thing. But, sometimes when the game is on the score, and that's, pivotal thing is to get on the score. We didn't do it. So, it's a little disappointing. Yeah.
So one of the things Corey said about that is that once you guys got to an emotional level, is when your game picked up. Makes it hard to find an emotional level early.
It is, like, I can, be rattled up here and lost, but, I can also look at it and say, okay, since, that's still we went on a road, and we had lost in regulation in our last 6, and we played some pretty emotional games, had a lot of travel in there, so, listen, they keep, we need points to keep, our head above water here, and they keep getting them, so, we want to be greedy, get them both. We have our chances, we have our monks, and, I don't know, we just didn't have the pop we usually have, and, credit to Seattle, it's out there, and don't us block shots, check them out, and we have the opportunity, they're very.
So I think they blocked 32 where you had 32 where your attempts blocked. Like, were they just collapsing low, or did you just not finding
That's probably a little, well, that's why 32 block shots. And we had 30, it's not a good stat. Again, you have the puck on your stick. You have the opportunity to get it through. A lot of other times too, is you're get shots blocked, you're thinking too much. You're not instinctively shooting. You're not ready. When you take your time, then you allow shot blockers to set up. That's why I said that.
Coop, you do such a great job of staying even keeled, never getting too high, never getting too low. But in a game that's kind of a little funky, I think the best teams are probably very similar to what their coach is, and you've done that over the years. In a game like this, where it is kind of a quirky game, how do you attack the next couple days before coming back on Saturday? Do you make too much of it? Do you kind of put this in the past, knowing that
it's hard? Like, what are we playing? Guys are going, wow, we're playing 3 and 4. Like, we play 3 and 4. It seems like every 4 days.
Right.
So, yeah, like you get to the Olympic break, and it's like, well, Tampa's got all these games in hand. Well, yeah, we have to play them. And so, like, we're, by far the team that's had to play them. We're going to have to play the most from Olympic break to now. And as you see, like, it's just, it seems like every week it's 4 and 6, 4 and 6. And, then we get to April and we play like 7, 14. So it's just, there's a lot there. So, to answer your question, that's not a lot of practice time. Because we've got, these guys have to keep their energy. It's been a grind on them. So that's why I give them credit. We've played the road, normal time zones, all different ones, and then we come home and they're still finding a way to get some points. So, but now we're playing some division rivals coming up here, so it's going to be fun.
And there you go, head coach John Cooper. I'm gonna have to try the new. I'll try the new stuff next time. Maybe tomorrow. One of the mini microphones that I have. But hold on. I think the big thing with him is like he understands. And when I asked the question to him of like, hey, you guys are an even keel. You do a great job of staying even keel, not getting too high, not getting too low. I think in the beginning, he kind of like, he pushed back at that. He's like, is it me or the team? And I'm like, well, it's both of you guys. And you can kind of tell as he's answering the question, he's saying, he's kind of going through it. And in his mind, you can kind of see it click a little bit going, man, we don't practice a lot. And it's been a tough schedule. And then you start thinking, you go, all right, well, we lost that last game on the road in Calgary, but we got a point. A game tonight where we really didn't play all that well, we still got a point. Like that's, I think in his mind, that's where the focus is at. We just got to find the process and get that to a certain, level that every single time we step on the ice, we're ready to go. And I think you're looking for familiarity and consistency with the Tampa Bay Lightning. You finally get it. You know what the lines are going to be. And I wonder if they do switch it up a little bit. And it was an optional skate and an optional practice today. But we have seen Hagel, Cirelli, and Kucherov, and then Gonsalves with Point and Gensel. We know that you're not changing the Holmberger against scored line, and you're not changing the Perry, Paul, and Bjorkstrand line, unless Bjorkstrand and Sabrin are in around. But I wonder if they switch it tomorrow. Do they go back to Point, Kucherov, and Gonsalves? I think that's what they do tomorrow. I think they switch it up. I think that's the big change. Every once in a while when it gets stale, I think that's the change you make. You just change Kuch with Gensel and then go from there. Makes a lot of sense. So am I worried about the Tampa Bay Lightning? No, not at all. I really appreciate what they've done and what they continue to go through. And I like that they've been able to kind of answer the bell and be ready to drop the gloves. And you look at Corey Perry with the goal last night, Gensel with a beautiful goal, Perry with a beautiful goal. Cirelli was able to chip one in. And seeing Corey Perry's face, oh my God. Did you guys see his face? Dude was jacked up. My God. And he's just like, no big deal. I mean, just look here. I'm going to pull it up here. Holy smokes. Look at this dude's face. He loves it too. I mean, he loves being here with this team. And like you look, let's see if we can get a close up here. Close up. Look at that, bro. Look at that. My God. He looks like a Halloween villain. This dude is jacked up. And he's just like nothing. It's like nothing to him. He's just like, yeah, I'm playing. I'm scrapping. I don't really care. Like, it doesn't matter. My face is all cut up. Dude, he was in an unfortunate tilt with McCarron on Tuesday for the Minnesota Wild. And like, dude, that's not a guy you want to fight. That's not a guy you want to drop the gloves with. And it doesn't matter. Like, he's got Corey Perry sitting there on the bench with a spoon on his face. You're a guy, and he scored again last night, number 14 of the season. This is a guy that when you watch the game last night and you listen, like I've been telling you guys this for a long time. If you're one of the people that speaks after a loss, that's like there's a trust factor there. There's a representation from like the team in the organization that they trust that you can like make, answer the tough questions and to be able to answer the bell. Like, think about that. This is a guy that just got traded a couple of weeks ago. We're asking him questions about the team's play out of the break. I'm like, he wasn't even on the team then. And after a loss last night, it wasn't McDonough. It wasn't Cirelli. It wasn't Hagel. It was Corey Perry. And it's pretty cool that he's got that leadership role and he totally understands it. And I said this to my baseball team the other day. Julian Breezewa mentioned during the press conference after the trade deadline that Corey Perry knows exactly what to do and exactly when to turn the temperature up. And I thought that was very, very profound because in hockey, yes, we know that the kind of the shenanigans and the tomfoolery that happens after the whistles and you got to be able to answer the bell at any time. But I think that is something that you can take to other aspects of sports and other teams. Who knows on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when to turn the temperature up? It's probably just one guy, and I'd say Baker Mayfield. He knows when the team needs an incredible run for a first down or drop the shoulder, right? Who does that on the defensive side of the ball? Who pushes the envelope a little bit? You know who did that really, really well? Ryan Jensen. Ryan Jensen did that really well for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You need guys that are going to be habitual line steppers. You're going to need guys that know when to turn the temperature up a little bit. We have a guy like that with the Tampa Bay Lightning with Corey Perry, and that's how you can come in. And I know he's been here before, but it's a new group. He comes in here and he knows exactly what to do to fit in. And I thought he's fit in fabulously so far. Scoring another big goal last night. He's going to play on that line with Paul and either Bjorkstrand or Sabrin. He's going to help you out on that second power play unit. And he's a guy that if you get caught in the middle of a line change and he's out there and he's playing with, a Cooch and a point, like he can give you a half shift there. He can snap the puck on there. He's still got a great release. And he's just so smart. Such a smart hockey player. Future Hall of Famer one day, no doubt. So am I worried about the Tampa Bay Lightning? No. But keep our guy Victor Hedman in your thoughts and your prayers. We hope that he gets well soon. Guys, make sure you follow me on all social media platforms at Recher, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. You got to love it, just like my Pasco Hernando hat right here. Shout out to Coach Linden, my man. Crushing as always. And, of course, Honest Hammer Custom Builders and Ever Health. Go to thehonesthammer.com, thehonesthammer@gmail.com. Send them an email today. Tell them that you heard it right here on the Recher podcast. Get you a discount. Kitchen, bathroom renovations. You got a fresh plot of land for a new build. He can help you out there as well. 813-244-0956. Licensed general contractor, CGC 153-1166. Tell them that you heard it right here on the Recher podcast. And, of course, Evra Health. What a great injury report that we had yesterday with Dr. Carlos Rodriguez. He joins us every Thursday at 12:30. everhealth.org, 17 different locations in Pinellas County. It's a sliding scale for the uninsured. They take all kinds of insurance, and they're just so awesome. Anything that you're worried about when it comes to your health, go check them out, man. Everything from the cradle to the grave, they want to help you out. Planning to go to the Chris Mack presser on Tuesday? Probably not, because I'll be at Emily, damn it. I'll be at Benchmark International Arena. I haven't said Emily too much this year, be fair. And those pressers are usually like at 11 or 1. By the time I get there, unfortunately, it's like I got to get back for the show. So it's kind of a tough putt when it comes to the introductory press conferences. Like for Brian Hodgson, I went for a little bit, but I had to leave right away. So it sucked. But just the way it goes. But, of course, got a lot of love for USF, no doubt about it. And now they have the new coach on the men's side and the women's side. Shout out to USF Baseball. They're in Charlotte tonight, 6 p.m. Edwin Alicea on the mound. So hopefully those guys keep it rolling. They are firing 21-4 to start the season. So shout out to the Bulls. Shout out to Coach Mitch Hannes and the crew. A lot of people discussing Lavonte David and whether or not he belongs in the Hall of Fame. And ever since he announced his retirement earlier this week, I have gotten to a point where I'm just starting to take in a lot of information from a lot of different people. And it's kind of easy to say, yeah, he's a Hall of Famer. Listening to people that were either on the Buccaneers or cover the Buccaneers, we know he's a Ring of Honor guy. No doubt about it. You don't have to question that. It's not even a conversation. But Hall of Fame is something else. And I'm not giving you my 2 cents on whether or not he should be in the Hall of Fame. I'll save that for another day. But you have to be realistic in the conversation when it comes to Lavonte David. And when you sit there and you say he should, why? He should? Is it a no-doubter? I don't think so. You're going to have to argue for him to get in. Is that fair? Life's not fair. You had to argue for Lavonte David. You had to argue for John Lynch to get in. You had to argue for Rondé Barber to get in. And they had more accomplished careers than Lavonte David did. I don't know if that's necessarily an opinion. I think that's fact. Rondé playing for as long as he did, the amount of All-Pros, the amount of Pro Bowls, and people want to say, oh, the Pro Bowls are just a popularity contest. I mean, those are kind of the rules. Like, that's just kind of the way it goes. It's always been that way. And now because it doesn't fit your narrative, I'm sorry. I don't make the rules. It's just, again, we go back to what Ian and I did the research years ago. 3-time All-Pro first team, 5-time Pro Bowler. 3-time first team All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler. That's kind of the standard. That's the low bar for making the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That's not something that we thought. That was just, we were taking the average out of all the guys that were in the last 5 classes, and that's what we found. For Lavonte David, I know a lot of people, and I just saw the article written by Rick Stroud for the Tampa Bay Times this morning. Again, support local. Go check them out. Echoing the sentiments of Gerald McCoy, saying just take the names off and look at the numbers. Well, my counter argument to that is the game is not played on stat sheets. And statistics are like bikinis. They show some things, but they don't show everything. Now, it's easy for me to say Lavonte David, Hall of Famer. And will I want him to be in the Hall of Fame? 100%. But I'm not trying to be a Bucs fan here. I don't have pewter-colored glasses. We're not having that conversation right now. I'm trying to be a realist because everybody just wants to tout. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's going to – why? Other than the statistics, why would he be a Hall of Famer? And again, the statistics don't tell you everything. If a guy's on a bad team and the guy's on the field a lot, he's going to have a lot of tackles and he's going to have more opportunities than some of these other guys on better teams. Just the way it goes. You are not helping your team in enough of a way to help your team win. I mean, that's not my opinion. And you could say, oh, he's done all he could. Okay, well, I mean, if he did maybe a little better, maybe they make the playoffs in the first 8 seasons. That would have taken a Herculean performance. I agree. He did a lot, but he had to do more. Again, that's not my opinion. That is just what's going on because, again, I think one of the biggest things people are forgetting about this is that we are anticipating that the guys that voted for All Pro when he was a member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in his heyday, that those guys who now vote for the Hall of Fame are now they're going to change. Those same guys are going to look back and go, well, he wasn't as good as this guy. He wasn't as good as that guy. And for people that say he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, come on. Come on. Luke Kuechly wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer. And can anybody honestly raise their hand and tell me that Lavonte David was a better player than Luke Kuechly? Come on. And I like Lavonte David. But Luke Kuechly is one of the best football players I've ever seen. And his career, you look at the numbers, how they compare to Lavonte David. He also played, 5 less seasons? Come on. Let's be realistic here. I've said from the beginning, I think Lavonte gets in, but I think it might be on like the Veterans Committee or later on. I don't think it's going to be early because you have to make an argument. And I've always been like this in every sport. If you have to like make an argument, like I think the Hall of Fame should be special. I think the Hall of Fame, it should be a no doubter. Boom, he's in or he's out. That's it. I don't like the whole argument thing. Especially now. You have social media. Everybody watches the games. It's not like guys in LA never saw Lavonte David play. This isn't 1955. Every single game is right at your fingertips. And it's been like that for a while. Everybody knows Lavonte David is a good player. Is he a great player? I think here locally, yes. We've seen him. But if you have to see a guy every single day to appreciate his greatness, does that make him a Hall of Famer? I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. And as much as I appreciate Gerald McCroy's perspective, it's one of his best friends. What do you think he's going to say? I'm just giving you guys an alternative, and I'm giving you a different perspective. Because everybody and their mother in this town is just going to say, Lavonte David is a Hall of Famer. Look at his stats compared to this guy. It's the same argument. Like, everybody's going to have the same argument about Lavonte David. It's the same thing. He's a Hall of Famer because of how many numbers. And I gave it to you. And listen, I argued for it during the Beckles and Recher podcast. When he said, no, not a chance, I said, hold on. Listen to these statistics. When it's just him and Ray Lewis for this one. Listen to this statistic since tackle for losses became a stat, how he leads the way. And Ian kind of came around, okay. It was a much closer discussion than he thought. Think about that. I want him to get in. But again, this is not one of those things where it's what I want. It's what I think will happen. I think it's going to be tough for him to get into the Hall of Fame. I do. I mean, you look at some of these guys in the National Football League, right? And who's the main guy that we've been talking about the last couple of years that should be in there, right? You look at a guy like Simeon Rice, right? 122 sacks. 122. He was a Super Bowl champion. He was also Defensive Rookie of the Year. And I think this is, first team All-Pro in 2002, 2-time second team All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowler. So he's got a little bit more of those type of credentials than Lavonte does, but it's close. Had a nice career playing with Arizona, the Bucs, the Broncos, and the Colts. But that's a guy that's still waiting to get the call. Still. And there's a lot of people, and you want to talk about longevity, like he played a bunch of games too. He played in 174. It wasn't 215 like Lavonte, so I think that should help his case. But we know how important being a pass rusher is. 12-year NFL career, 23rd all-time. 8 of 10 seasons recorded at least 10 sacks. And at least 3 of those seasons, he had 15 sacks. So that argument right now isn't helping Simeon Rice. It's a similar argument that Ira Kaufman is going to have to make in 5 years for Lavonte David. And it's going to be very difficult for him to make that case. Because, again, the guys that are going to be voting on the Hall of Fame were the guys that didn't give him all-pro nods. And he is going to be stuck. We live in a comparative society. I say this all the time. He is going to be forever compared to the linebackers that he played with. Bobby Wagner and Luke Kuechly. At that time, you could argue that Lavonte David was no worse than the third best linebacker in the league and even in the NFC. But third, he wasn't better than either one of those guys. And Bobby Wagner's still going. Right? So, like that, again, I'm trying to give you guys a different perspective on this whole thing with Lavonte David. I really do hope that argument about the statistics and how he compares to the Ray Lewises and the Junior Seau's and the Brian Urlachers and Luke Kuechly, like, I hope that makes a difference. But what we have seen in the recent past is that they don't hold as much weight in that room. So we'll see. I hope so. And I bet you Ira's working on it now. And he knows that he's got a guy like Luke Kuechly who we spoke about this earlier this week that loves Lavonte. So hopefully that can help his case. We'll see. We shall see. This is not the end of this conversation. It's something that we're going to talk about probably for the next 10 years here in Tampa Bay, the candidacy for Lavonte David. Okay, before we get to Evan Closky, WTSP Channel 10, I want to tell you guys something. We were having this conversation before about Chandler Simpson with him being taught center field. Did you guys watch the Pirates and Mets game yesterday? Paul Skeens couldn't even get out of the first inning because of that terrible play in center field by O'Neal Cruz. And if you remember, earlier this year, O'Neal Cruz was there at USF working with Kevin Kiermaier, a guy that we can all agree that is one of the best defensive center fielders in the last 20 years in the major leagues, right? We can all agree on that. And they were working on his play in center field, O'Neal Cruz. But I'm going to say this before, and I'm going to say it again. It is damn near impossible to teach a big league player how to play outfield and how to really play center field. It is not something, it really is. It's one of those things where you either have it or you don't have it. It's not about running the ball down in the gaps and in the alley and the speed and being able to throw guys out. It's not about that. It's about your first step. It's about your reads. It's about your reactions. It's not letting balls fall. It's not losing the ball in the sun. Like, there's so many different things that go into playing outfield that you can't necessarily teach. It kind of just has to happen. And it's instincts. Everybody kept saying Chandler Simpson is going to go play center field. They're going to work on it. And I told you from day one that was not going to happen. Where does he play now? He didn't even start yesterday. He's playing left field. He's not a center fielder. Can't teach a guy how to play center field. It doesn't happen like that. B.J. Upton had his moments where he was good. Then he had his moments where it wasn't too good. Look at Jason Dominguez, the Martian for the Yankees. They're trying to work with this guy playing outfield. Bro, he's terrible out there. O'Neal Cruz, you first step in. They teach you that when you're 8. Your first step is back. Very next play, you drop the ball and you lose it in the sun. Bro, that looked like a little leaguer out there. And he's working with Kevin Kiermaier. There's certain things in sports you either have it or you don't. Playing outfield is one of them. I was a guy that really, as a kid growing up, I was an all-star travel ball guy. I played infield. I was an infielder. And I remember one of the first year we were playing senior ball, I was like 15. They put me in left field for game 2 of the doubleheader on opening day, and I got burned so bad. My coach was like, come back to the infield. And I was like, thank you. Thank you, God. I got better as I got older because I took a lot, but I still, like, it's not instinctual because I took thousands of ground balls as a kid. And I was an infielder. That's what I did. When you're already a grown-up and you've already played so much baseball, you just can't. It has to be inside you. It's very, very rare that you're like, all right, we're going to turn that guy into an outfielder. Your center fielders go to right and left. You have a guy that can maybe play first base or maybe play a corner position, and he does it adequately. But that's just inherently, you're a good athlete, and you just get the reads off the bat well. But I don't know if you're ever like the greatest in the world. And if you are, you're like a super utility guy. You're like a Sean Figgins. But if you're talking about like kind of teaching a guy that doesn't do it well, like I just don't think those guys are ever good at it. You're either good at and you can do it, or you can't. That's it. That's it. He's never going to be a Gold Glover. And I guarantee you that we're going to see more plays like we did the other night or like we saw yesterday with O'Neal Cruz. Chandler Simpson is not going to play center field. Jason Dominguez is probably just going to be a DH or a first baseman. That kind of stuff does not change. And I'm telling you from experience. So you can say whatever you want, like, oh, yeah, you can work on. No, you can't. You can't. It's not the way it goes. Not the way it goes. All right, Evan Closky is going to join me here momentarily. Let's take a look real quick at the bracket. How's everybody's bracket doing? The men's tournament challenge. How am I doing? Crappy. I'm in 59th place in my own bracket. First is Zachy. My guy, Zachy. Jeremy DeWitt is in second. David Moran, second. Josh is in fourth. Mallory Garner, fourth. Nate Bond, fourth. Kyle Berger, fourth. Drayden Williams, fourth. Klosky, tie with my guy, Pat Russo, at ninth. And Las Vegas Craig at ninth. Mike Rice, 12th. Honest Hammer at 12th. A lot of these guys have picked the Gators, though. So that ain't good. Sam Cohen, 16th. A lot of these people picking Arizona. What would really help me is if Arizona loses. But that ain't going to happen. Arizona looks good, man, don't they? I mean, it's tough to kind of look at what you saw last night and think that Arizona is not going to go all the way. I mean, Purdue with a late tip in from Kaufman Wren, which was huge. They beat Texas 79-77. And I give Texas a lot of credit. Being one of the first four, and then to be able to win those games, against BYU and really, I mean, AJ Debance, everybody thinks like he's going to take over in Texas, making it all the way to the Sweet 16. Congratulations to them. Iowa continues their run after beating Florida 77-71. Illinois beats Houston. Houston was one of my Final Four teams, so there you go. See ya, 65-55, and then Arkansas scores 88. Still not enough. 21-point loss, the biggest loss in Coach Cal's tournament history. And it was just one of those type of games, man. Like, it didn't really matter. Like, Arizona was just coming at you in waves. Crazy. My boo thing, where are you? Let me see where you're at, babe. I'll just take it off. Marissa, out of 79 people, are you beating me? It's not good when your girl's beating you. I'm 59th. For the first time in my life, I don't want to see your name. My dad's 51st. Rolly, you're 51st. Dan Greco, I'm 59th. Man, babe, I think you're 62nd. 62nd. You're right behind me. Aaron Jacobson, 64. Any other big names down there? Oh, yeah. Look who's in last place. 76 out of 79. Benny with 270. You don't even have 300 points, Benny. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Why not put Simpson back to his original position at second base? I mean, it's a fair question. It's a fair question, but I think they've worked with him so much in the outfield now that that's where he's going to stay. And you know that Gavin Lux is going to be there. And you have other guys that can play infield. Taylor Rawls. When he comes back, he'll be an option there as well. So we'll see. But like I said, it's not anything to kind of freak out when it comes to the Rays, but it is a warning sign. It is a warning sign. You don't want to get too far back. And look, I just see the Bucks Hall of Fame resume. Tied for first with tackles for loss, 6 for sacks, first in fumbles recovered and fumbles, 4th, second in linebacker interceptions, and 3rd in games played. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know. All right, let's bring him in. Fresh cut and all. ESP, what's going on, brother? How are you?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Lavonte David, Hall of Famer or no?
Yes. Not a first ballot Hall of Famer, but eventually after chopping wood and continuing to chip away, I think after many, many years, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. So yes. When? Good question.
Yeah, I think it's tough because my whole criterion for Hall of Famers, it's always been like yes or no. That was it. I have a weird kind of thing of like, this is how many people should get in and how many cracks you get at it. Like, it's weird. Like, the narrative changes. Why? Like, the guy doesn't play more, right? So it's like a lot of times it's like, well, if there's 15 guys that deserve it, 15 should get in. If 0 guys deserve it, then 0 should get in. I think that's how it should be. I don't think you should have to make an argument for a guy, but I know that that's not the way it is. And, people are talking about the blind resumes now, and I understand that, but for me in this generation, he'll always be the 3rd best linebacker. So is that what the Hall of Fame is? I get the whole tackles thing, but outside of that, there's going to be a lot of these people that are voting on him for the Hall of Fame that didn't vote him as an All-Pro. So those are the guys that are, that are going to put him in now. Like, do they love Ira that much? I think that's my big question.
Hey, look, Ira's a convincing fella, but I do think part of the problem with his accolades also was him getting lumped in with the edge rushers, and that was, just really dumb. Like, I just think, taking a step back and realizing where he was being grouped in with, his position was different than everybody else, so that really hurt him in terms of certain resume builders that you needed. Obviously, the team that he played on did not help his cause for a ton of years. And I do believe, though, when you stack up everything he's done, when you ignore kind of the all pros, the Pro Bowls, the things that other people put on your career, when you just focus on the numbers of what he has done in his career, I think eventually people are going to come around because you're going to see all the people around him in his pod be Hall of Famers, and then it's going to be like, why is Lavonte not there? So, when you have the Bobby Wagners and the Luke Kuechly's and all these people go in, and Lavonte's in a similar stratosphere in terms of numbers, I just feel like over time he's going to be viewed as much better than what he was maybe during the present.
Yeah, I think the longer that Bobby Wagner plays is probably the worse for Lavonte David because they're not going to put him in before Bobby Wagner. And he's still, putting along. He's still going to be playing. So, his numbers are going to continue to grow. All right, talk me off the ledge. Why shouldn't I freak out about the race other than it's just the first game?
Yeah, it's the first game. Look, we know entering this season, this team is not like a World Series contender, right? So there are going to be all these random things that happen. From an offensive standpoint, like, I'll take 17 hits.
Yeah, no doubt.
The problem is they have no power. So, you had 17 hits. They scored 7 runs, and you can arguably say they should have scored more because they left double digits on base. So, I think that offensively they did sort of the things that they would love to do where they can hit and create some havoc and keep the line moving. When it comes to Jax, Clevenger, Seymour, we're never going to see Seymour pitch that bad again. Right. We're just not. It was his worst outing as a pro, 5 straight batters, got 0 outs. That was as horrific as it gets. It's an outlier performance. Clevenger and Griffin, I don't think are necessarily outlier performances. Griffin, grooved the fastball there right down the middle for Burleson. It was a really bad pitch location. Probably a bad pitch decision as well. And Clevenger was just a bit bumpy, but it was a weird game. And these are going to happen during a 162 game season. I guarantee you at some point during the year, the Rays are going to steal a game that they had no business winning. Right. And we're going to go, oh, there we go. It's going to even out. But when it's all said and done, right, there's still going to be a 77 to 81 win team, depending on what they do at the deadline, who they remove from the roster. And in doing so, you're going to have, these moments of exasperation. The problem is if this team wants to exceed what the expectations are, they can't lose games like that, right?
Mhm.
So I think narrative wise, they're still the team that we all thought they were. But if you're going to exceed that narrative, you have to win in the tiny margins. You can't really give away games. And game one of 162, you already chucked one away. So you have about like 5, 7 of those bullets all year, and you burned one already right out of the gates. So it just, and this team's going to play with thin margins all year long. So, I don't know. I don't want to overreact to one game. It just sucks that you burn one of those bad bullets game one.
All right, so I'm glad we could talk about this because I think we're relying so much on what has happened in the past for the Rays rather than really judging and analyzing what they've done the last 2 years. I feel like
Mhm.
they have so much good reserve and so much good benefit of the doubt in the bank that people are not really looking at what they've done the last 2 years. It still bothers me that they traded Shane Baz and Taj Bradley, right?
Mhm.
Because like these are two guys that, Kyle Snyder's supposed to be the man. Like he's supposed to be the guy that fixes this type of stuff. We're supposed to like you're not supposed to get rid of a guy like Mason Montgomery. You're supposed to figure it out. You know what I mean? And it's just like everybody keeps saying Kyle Snyder's the best pitching coach in baseball. Eric Neander's done such a great job. And it's just like he has done, but like the last 2 years have not been great. They've been inconsistent. Pitching and defense is like it's okay. It's not bad. Like it's not like they're terrible, but like
Mhm.
that's what they're hanging their hat on. We know that they're not having a bunch of guys that are hitting 30 and 100. So like I don't want to say these guys are on the hot seat, but like I don't think enough people are talking about like these guys need to do better too. It doesn't mean we think they should get rid of them or they haven't done a good job in the past, but like I think that they need to step their game up. I don't think that's being a dick about it, right? I don't think it's being overly pessimistic either. But we talk so much about operating in the fine margins. Well, when you operate in the fine margins, part of the things that help you win is because you draft well, you develop well, and you coach well. And I think that they've left a little bit to be desired. What do you think?
Uh, I think everything needs context. Like, okay, Mason Montgomery, for example. This was a guy who wasn't like a top 10 prospect by any means. He has elite stuff plus. He really does. He doesn't know where he's going. He threw for the Pirates yesterday. It was the same issues again.
Mhm.
If the ball is, if he can find a strike zone, he's going to get a strikeout. If he can't, it's a mess of an inning. And yeah, so I think the Rays prioritize throwing strikes and they want to take a risk on guys with elite stuff to see if they can turn them into strike throwers, i.e., Tyler Glass now. I think the problem is the Rays are a victim of their own success, which that's cool. You have the bar raised that way. I think they hit a point where they were hitting like everything. Their hit rate on all these kind of these darts and these the Tyler Glass nows, whatever it might be, was so high that they were able to balloon into the contender we saw from 19, 20, 21, and it really created this. They even hit on Randy Arozarena, who was a throw-in to an extent in that trade. Now you're seeing a little bit of a regression to the mean. I think they're missing a little bit more, right? Christopher Morel, awful trade, no other way around it. In other days, maybe they hit that one.
Mhm.
That one they whiffed on. So I'm seeing that like Neander is human. He's making some bigger mistakes than normal or what he's done in the past. But also in terms of like Taj got a long runway and it was not clicking. He was moving in the other direction. I haven't seen anything out of Minnesota that's proved that they fixed him either. So I thought actually getting Griffin Jacks in an area where they needed bullpen help was probably a good move. And then the Shane Baz thing was, yeah, they were overwhelmed by prospects and a realization that they're not going to be a World Series contender this year. And they're actively trying to regroup for 2028, 2029, whenever that new ballpark is going to open. Around there, they want to surge and kind of crescendo into that moment. So they're a team that's trying to be competitive in the present, but this isn't a team built to win a World Series until we get at least another 2-3 years down the line. and some of these prospects that they've traded for, they can start to emerge and take over, which is what we've seen from a million other organizations in sports, right? Where you go a little bit down, you build back up, and luckily the Rays have enough talent to where they can consistently add to the farm system and hopefully keep throwing darts to where you get some of these guys that are, are great players, like Junior Caminero, who again was a dart throw.
Yeah. And I guess my whole thing is that, like, if you're telling people that you can't afford to throw darts because you have to be, oh, where are you? We lost you. We lost you. We'll get Evan back in a second. We'll get him back. I promise. Everybody's texting me. Everybody texts me. Like, I don't understand people text me from 12 to 2. Come on, folks. We'll get him back in a second here. Practice tonight from 5:30 to 7. How's the weather out here tonight? 84. Looks like it's going to be beautiful. All right. Come on back. Come on back. There we go. He's back. Hey, buddy. You're alive.
Yeah, I am alive. There was a crane outside. I'm like, what are we doing? I was like, I'm getting away from this crane.
You're good.
And
You're
then,
good.
And then as I moved, I lost the internet.
Nah, you're fine. You're fine. I guess my thing is, like, with the whole throwing darts thing is, like, they know that they can't throw darts, right? For like big league guys. So they try to throw multiple darts at the minor league level. My whole thing is that, and it's not even necessarily just an issue with the draft, issue with the big league club. It's the entire organization as a whole, the lack of the ability to draft and develop these guys. And it's, we have so much conversations about, well, this guy's going to be this and this guy's going to be this. And it's like, they didn't even draft Caminero. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, that's what worries me, is that they put all these resources and they tell us, like, hey, this is what, and you know me, man, I'm not one of those people that are like, the Rays suck no matter what. Like, I look at it from a baseball perspective, like, all right, this is what you're telling me that you guys are good at, but I don't see the proof. Like, I don't see it. Like, we're banking in them. And I'm not saying you're wrong, but it's just like, all right, they're regressing to the mean. Well, like, this is a what have you done for me lately type of life that we live in. Right. And what are you selling fans? Like, what are fans supposed to be excited? Like, all right, well, the new stadium is coming and we know, like, where's that money come from? This is a lot of questions. And there's an apathy about this team when they're good. Like, this is going to be a long year if we continue to see things where it's just like, well, we're going to compete kind of. And then, like, we do have prospects, but they'll be here in a couple of years. Like, it's tough to sell this to fans.
And I don't know if they're actually trying to sell some BS to fans. I mean, like,
probably right.
Like, the reality is most teams have a shelf life, and you're not going to be, you're not going to be aiming for. Well, you're going to be aiming for a World Series every year, but you're not going to have a realistic opportunity to win a World Series every year. They had a window there, and they made it to the World Series. They didn't get it done. They had a couple other chances, screwed it up along the way, and that's just the reality of it. And now they have to regroup because, and whether people like this excuse or not, Wander Franco sunk the trajectory of this team. You simply do not replace a Hall of Fame caliber shortstop who was an elite defensive player, who was going to be one of the best offensive players in the league, and you built a roster around him. What would this team have looked like with Junior and Wander and Aranda and Yandy, and maybe you keep like all of a sudden maybe your projections of what you could be have changed because you have a player that's like a 6-WAR player. And when you look at like last year's team, they kind of tanked it when they kind of did a half sell, half buy. But if you add like 6 wins to that team, they're a borderline wild card contender. Not anything great, but I'm just saying, like, in terms of a squad that's not pushing for anything, that was the impact of that player. And it forced the Rays to pivot. And in pivoting, they made some bad moves. And it's like kind of compounded itself now. It's like, hey, we're trying to fix this and we can't find another Wander. So we got to, trade for for Jose Caballero, and in doing so, we got to trade Luke Raley, and you're doing moves that you don't necessarily plan you're doing, but you just are forced into doing it because you have to raise raise the level of your group and what your projections are. So I just think that the reality of the situation is they're not in a great place. And the only way to fix that is to add talent to the farm system. And if you hit on a bunch of guys, you're going to become the Houston Astros, where you have a stint where you're one of the best teams in baseball for 7, 10 years. And then right now, Houston has got no farm system. They went all in during their tenure, really, and they are in no man's land again. And that's the way that the kind of sports cycle works. Unless you're the Dodgers, unless you're the Mets right now, Yankees, and you have a boatload of money, you can't consistently push for World Series rings. You have to just try to put yourself in a position to fight fire with young budding stars who can come up and really shine. And hopefully what the new ownership group will do, on top of getting a new stadium, is that when they have these budding stars and they do perform, that they can get signed to long-term deals to stay in Tampa, and you build a little bit of a foundation of what kind of the Lightning and the Buccaneers have done, of keeping their own in town for as long as possible because they've earned that right. So, the Rays aren't in the business really of drafting and developing. They're in the business of trading and developing, because in their eyes, drafting is a hypothesis. When you get into the minor leagues, now I see some data. Now I know more about you. I know how you're squaring up against this level of pitching compared to others. And now I have a better sense of who you are than what you were coming out of the draft. And I think they could certainly do a lot better in the draft. That's for dang sure.
Yes.
But that also, like, in general, they trade so much that it really doesn't matter to them, because they're shuffling their farm system like year over year, adding and subtracting talent. And so I would say, like, if you're the Cleveland Guardians, it would matter so much more, a team that is so stingy with trades. But with the Rays, they turn over talent like at all levels. It's like whatever. They're constantly shuffling.
I just think they should probably take a page out of Cleveland's book and draft better. That would help.
Yeah,
if you're not, I understand, and you're right. You're not wrong. But my thing is, if you're not going to do that, like, why has it become that? Why has it become trade and develop and not draft and develop? Like, what does that say about your organization as a whole, that you can't draft guys and be like, hey, look at this guy we drafted? Why isn't there an Evan Longoria? Why isn't there a David Price? You know what I mean?
They haven't had a high enough pick.
Yeah, but even then, like Trout, look where Trout got drafted. Look at where Judge got drafted. Like, Major League Baseball, you're drafting from high school, you're drafting from college, you have international free agents. It's not like they have these guys that are coming through the ranks that they're second round picks that are killing it either. That's the scary part with me, is that I get it. I understand the deficiencies, and I understand they're not going to be able to compete. But the fact that they don't have a couple of guys, Evan, you know what I mean? That's the thing that worries me. It's like, you don't even have a couple of guys that you're drafting that is like, wow, look at the prospect that these guys have been.
I don't know. I thought they kind of found that with Shane McClanahan. I mean, the guy was a Cy Young contender. Arguably, when he had that 3-year stretch, he started an All-Star game.
And I'm talking about right now. Like, and of course, I know how good he is.
Yeah,
but, if you're talking about one guy, then he hasn't pitched in 2 years. Like, if that's your first answer, that's my point. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
Carson Williams is up right now. The problem is, they trade a lot. I mean, I'm trying to think. What I will say is, and I don't remember a lot of these guys off the top of my head. Like Josh Lowe was a tough one, right? I mean, 2022 was fantastic, but it just never regrouped. That was a guy who you thought was going to be an awesome, like, draft out of high school, developed him. He came up, was a 2020 guy, and like a fixture in this lineup forever. And just injuries were an issue. He just couldn't stay healthy. That was probably as close as we're going to get. I do think that over the large sample size, their first round picks have been very underwhelming. They tend to take these high school kids. They want high school kids. They give them a long leash to figure out who they are. They feel like they can kind of get in before they're big time. And in doing so, I don't think that they've hit enough. I certainly think that's fair criticism. In my eyes, does it drastically change their trajectory. Not so much only because that they are making trades that are effectively doing what the draft should have done. So it's like,
True.
that's what I'm saying. Like, they bring in a Ryan Pepio, and Pepio is a candidate who got totally screwed last year by Steinbrenner Field. Gave up 17 home runs in Steinbrenner, yet somehow had like a 2-something ERA in that ballpark. It literally was just based off of the home runs he was giving up as a fly ball pitcher. Shane Baz was another candidate who got screwed over by Steinbrenner, and they just traded him. But there are some guys that they bring into the organization who have a pretty big impact. I'm excited about Ben Williamson, and they traded like Colton Ledbetter, who was someone who was a decently high draft pick for the Rays, but they flopped him for a Williamson. Williamson's here now. I think he's the next like Joey Wendell for this team. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, yeah, they didn't draft and develop him, but they took a player that they drafted and developed and flipped him for somebody who fans are going to really like. So it's just a nuanced conversation. In general, yes, you're not good enough at drafting. Do they supplement it? I think they do. But overall, they just have some bigger issues, and mostly it comes down to them whiffing a little bit more than usual in the trade market, and it's getting exposed.
Yeah, it certainly is. All right, before I get you out of here, I want to ask you about Victor Hedman and the Lightning. What's
Mhm.
your take on everything? You and I have been kind of trading texts about this for the last couple of weeks
Yeah.
about Victor Hedman, and now it's kind of at an, I don't want to say conclusion, but it's at an unfortunate point now where he takes a leave of absence from the team.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough. This is a 17-year veteran, a guy who's been a workhorse. I mean, like during the Stanley Cup runs that they were having, this is a guy like logging 25 a night. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, they ran this guy into the ground, and there's a certain like level of expectation that I think, before anybody expects of him, he expects of himself. He's a captain of this team. Nobody has played more Lightning games than him. I just really like just hope for the best for Hetty. I hope that he's in a good spot. I hope, I know that he's got a great support system, just because I know how the Tampa Bay Lightning are, and the fact that everybody has consistently kept this in house tells me kind of everyone is still aligned and on the same page and rowing on the same boat. So I just I really just hope that we get Hetty back for the playoffs. That there's a defined role for him. That it's not as bad, I think, as fans.
Hold on one second. I got to take this call. I'm going to tell you why in a second.
Oh boy.
Hello, Phil Esposito. What's up, buddy? Okay. What?
No one ever asked me, and it was a bunch. I think it was AI.
Okay.
They picked people that I wouldn't have picked in a million fucking years, like Brad Park and Kenny Grimes.
What?
I didn't pick Gretzky. I didn't pick Moore.
No.
How do I stop that?
All right, I am going to look it up. I'll find it online and then I'll call you back.
Facebook
All right,
terrible.
I'm going to look it up now and then I'll call him and I'll call you back. You got it, pal. All right, buddy. Bye.
Dude, I had someone reach out to me 2 weeks ago that said on Facebook that there was an article going online that Phil was dead.
Oh my God. No, never
Dude,
happened.
that's been happening. That's been happening like a lot. Like
I know,
Mike
it's a lot.
Allstott had to release a statement.
I know. All right. Did you hear that? Did you hear what he said?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know Brad Park. I don't know none of these guys. He's like, I didn't have Gretzky. I didn't have a Bobby Orr, which is like one of his best friends. So I got to go find. I mean, when Phil Esposito calls, you got to take the phone call.
You got to take the call.
But yeah, I mean, it's just sad with Hetty, man. Like we just hope that it's not super serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's really all it is. And look, I just hope that this is for his best interest and to get him right, and to be a part of this Stanley Cup run, because this team is a contender. I think I do believe this is a team that is a little bit stuck in the dog days of the season. I know there's only 11 games left, but I'm thinking that once the divisional games start happening, they got to finish out the West here the rest of the week, and then they pretty much play the East. And I think once you hit like game 9, I want to see them kind of amp it up a little bit now that these are teams that they're going to fight for. They're going to fight for a trip to the Stanley Cup final with. So, I just really send my best to Hetty. We don't know anything, and
Nah.
and it's going to be very tough to learn anything considering how the Lightning keep things in house. But as long as he's okay and he's supported and taken care of, I think the hockey can figure itself out, and the Lightning will handle their business.
I thought that was Phil right there talking about Hetty, because we were talking about it last night. And like the crazy thing about the whole Hedman thing is that not only did he leave that game in Vancouver, but he flew home by himself. So he left, and he wasn't even on the team charter. So he left Western Canada to come back to Tampa while the team was in the middle of their road trip, which is it's kind of wild, right? Like again, this is a guy that is he was on the bench for Sweden during their quarterfinal matchup with the U.S. So Evan Closky, WTSP, always crushing it. Give my love to David Shilley, your better half, and everybody over there. And I'll probably see you this weekend, brother. Appreciate your time.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you. Have a good one, Jay.
You too, buddy. The one and only Evan Closky. What a great guy. Smart dude. I got to find this whole thing out. What is this whole thing? Phil Esposito's top 5 players of all time. Phil's pissed. He called me. He's from the golf course. In this video, at 82, what the hell is this? This is from 2 months ago. 5 players he admires most. Bro, this is crazy. This is literally somebody cutting up a video and changing the voice and like taking little bits and pieces. Bro, be careful what you see on the internet. I'm serious. Be careful what you see on the internet, what you read on the internet. My mom sent me we were going to the Valspar the other day, and my mom's like, what happened with the 3 Lightning players that went out to the nightclub and John Cooper suspended them? I'm like, what are you talking about? And she was like, yeah, there's like this article, and she showed it to me. I'm like, oh my God, that's not even close to being true. There was something else with Nikita Kucherov a couple of weeks ago where he said something like, oh, these are the easiest teams to beat, blah, blah. And like, I right away texted the Lightning, and they're like, bro, that is 100% false. This is why you have to really, really be careful with who you're getting your information from nowadays, because it is complete and utter bullshit. So be careful. And when it comes to the Lightning and partying, like those guys party, but they're not during the season. Like those guys, you see Cooch, you know how Cooch rolls. And if anybody's going to miss anything, or anybody is going to like get suspended or something, there's only one person that happens to, and it's Braden Point. And it's because he is a heavy sleeper. He's already got suspended. He's already missed 2 games in his career from oversleeping, and it had nothing to do with alcohol. I was like, come on, y'all partying late. They're like, Pointer's just that guy, bro. He sometimes you see him when he walks into the building and he's like a little disheveled. He's like, hey, Jay. And it's like, that's just Pointer, bro. Like, that's just his personality. And it's not like anything like people just like, hey, these are the rules, man. We're going to have to suspend you. He's like, all right, my bad. Like, he doesn't try to do that, but it's not because he's like an alcoholic or they're going out and partying. It's just, you have friends like that sometimes they're a little, they miss it a little while. It's fine. Shit happens. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. I'm gonna get on that thing for Phil and call him, because that is ridiculous. I gotta get with Chief too. I'm gonna call Chief after this. I can't believe that. And it's bad. It's a bad video. Like you would be able to tell. It's just cut up with Phil, like different things Phil's have said, and they cut and paste them together, and none of it is true. It's bad. It is no bueno. Follow me on all social media platforms at Recher: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. I will be live tomorrow. Not live tomorrow, excuse me. I will be at Benchmark International Arena tomorrow, at Rowdy's game tomorrow night, and then back at the arena on Sunday, stammering The Nashville Predators are in town 5:00 on Sunday, 1:00 tomorrow. Those kind of games are crazy. It's weird to leave the arena and it's still light out because every time it's in your head. You think about it. You walk outside and you're like, what the heck? Pointer doesn't eat breakfast and doesn't wear socks. Pointer's like the new Chuck Norris, right? The Pointer doesn't wear Pointer doesn't wear sunblock. The sun wears point block. I like that. Braden Point is the new Chuck Norris. I like that. All right, I usually like to end the show on a high note, but not today. Tonight, I'm gonna end the show, and I saw some news today that really pissed me off. Xavier Scruggs got let go by ESPN, and I gotta ask the worldwide leader, like, are you guys serious? Like, what are you doing over there? This is a guy that has done everything for the baseball coverage. He's smart. He's articulate. He's a guy that has done so many different things. Is going on location, World Series, World Baseball Classic, All-Star games. He's on MLB Network. Like, this is one of the most versatile talents in all of sports. And you guys would rather have a bunch of people just saying blasphemous crap every day and getting people pissed off rather than someone who actually does their homework and is informed and actually teaches you something. Let's just keep regurgitating the same stuff over and over and over again on ESPN. That's fun. And stop with the ratings mumbo jumbo. Like, oh, well, the ratings are great. You know as well as I do. You put on sports TV or sports radio as a default, because if there's any breaking news, you'll be able to kind of hear it on an update or see it on the ticker at the bottom of the screen. Relax all that. I mean, how many people are tuning in? Is it appointment listening or appointment viewing to tune into these shows because we want to hear 5 different programs talk about Dan Orlovsky's opinions about Ty Simpson and Fernando Mendoza? Get real. This is the same old tired stuff when it comes to ESPN. Let's just have people talk out of their ass and yell at the TV and scream, as loud as they possibly can and say things that are going to get people debating on whether they think this is disingenuous or not. But you get rid of one guy in Xavier Scruggs that actually brought something different to the table. A guy that gave you an insight on players that nobody even knew anything about. A guy that could help you out on your broadcast, help you out in studio, going to go on location, has good relationship with current and former players. Somebody different that goes about his job in the right way as a professional, and you get rid of that guy, and you keep a bunch of these other people on the network that just blow hot air every damn day, and you talk about LeBron and the Cowboys and the same old shit over and over and over again. My God, what does ESPN and sports media really come to? Get real, man. I'm not worried about Xavier Scruggs because he's going to get back on his feet. And when one door closes, probably a better door opens. But you guys screwed up. That guy's a hell of a talent. Bad move. The biggest error that I saw in the first week of the Major League Baseball season is ESPN letting go Xavier Scruggs. I'll say that again. The biggest error that you're going to see the first week of the MLB season is ESPN letting go of Xavier Scruggs. Bad move, rap dude. Crazy. All right, that's going to wrap it up for me. I got to go and do some detective work and help out Phil Esposito. I got to call Bobby the Chief Taylor. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms at Recher, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. I'm everywhere. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. A big thank you to David Terry and Janet Best and Victor Boucher for the super chats. I couldn't do this without you guys. Couldn't also do it without Honest Hammer and Evra Health. A big thank you to my guy, Evan Closky, as well. Go Bolts, go Rays, go Bucks, go Bulls, go UT, go Pascal Hernando. A big thank you again to Lyndon Coleman, my guy, for the hat. Badass, my brother. All right. Back in action on Monday at noon, right here on the Recher podcast. I love you all. Peace out.